we need to be emotionally aware and emotionally present in all of our relationships, all right? Emotional presence is essential to a healthy relationship. You go, why would that be? Well, because you have a part of your brain known as the limbic system, and that is the emotional part of your brain. To deny that part of your brain is not healthy. Those are people who don't want to deal with their feelings, so they either avoid them, run away from them, they live in denial. I mean, all the defense mechanisms kick in, you see, because I don't want to deal with my feelings. But your feelings are real, and to have feelings is human. Those emotions in the brain is how we connect. It's how we bond. It's how we attach. I've mentioned before my great teacher, Dr. Lori Gordon, I've been so influenced and blessed to have worked for her and with her and learned much from her. Also influences Dr. Jerry Mangazi and David Ferguson, Dr. David Ferguson out of Texas. And David's work is in the area of healthy attachments and bonds. David, many years ago, in his book, The Pursuit of Intimacy, identified 10 core relational needs. He called them at the time intimacy needs. I think he refers to them now as relational needs. And these 10 core relational needs must be met and will be met, just like food, air, water, and shelter. Humans are biologically needy. You need food, air, water, and shelter to survive. But there is a realm of our humanity that also is emotionally needy. This is our need for bonding, our need for attachment, our need for connection to others. That's an emotional connection. And we know through research on the brain that all humans have to emotionally bond early in life. And when we bond early in life, you feel loved. And when you feel loved, because people have met, your parents and others have met those relational needs, we'll talk about what they are in just a minute, because people have met those emotional needs, you feel that you value, you feel that you matter, you believe that you're lovable and loved, and you also believe you have a purpose, that you're not on this earth just to exist. You see, by meeting needs, we send the message to others: you have value, you matter, that you're loved and lovable, and guess what? You have a purpose in life. You're not here to exist. And all humans have to be able to have those needs met in healthy, mature ways. Now, in our childhood, it's our parents who are supposed to meet these 10 core relational needs. Sadly, though, if they never had those 10 core relational needs met, they probably couldn't give it to you. In other words, my dad and my stepmom, who raised me, emotionally were adolescents, all right? And because of that, and they had their own brokenness, because they both had, it was a second marriage for both of them, and they used to argue and scream and fight. And I remember when I was young, we ended up in therapy. You know, I still remember going to that therapist, didn't like that therapist for whatever reason. But my dad and my stepmom could not meet core needs in our lives. Why? They didn't have it to give us, because I don't think they got it themselves based on how the way they were raised and the relationships they had. Because you can't give somebody something that you don't have. And so when these needs are met, these emotional needs are met, we feel loved. When they're not met, you feel unloved. Now, we put them into the acronym CARES. And I'll spell that out for you. C, and it's A to the fifth power, RES squared. CARES. CARES is the acronym where I arranged those 10 relational needs so I can remember them. So here they are. All humans have these 10 core emotional needs hardwired into the emotional brain known as the limbic system. Here they are. Number one, C is comfort. We all need comfort. Then there's 5 A words. Here they are. We all need attention. We all need approval. We all need appreciation. We all need acceptance. And we all need affection. CA, the fifth power. R, we all need respect. E is encouragement. We all need to be encouraged. And S squared, we all need security. Security isn't that there's deadbolts on the door and money in the bank. That's a form of it. Ferguson defines security here as more than. He defines it as confidence of harmony in the relationship, that this relationship is free from harm. In other words, I feel secure that Luella loves me. I feel secure that I'm good enough to her. I feel secure that I'm accepted. I feel secure that I'm approved. I feel, you got it? It's security in that form. And lastly, the last S of the S squared is we all need to be supported. Support. When those needs are met, we actually feel loved. When they're not met, you feel unloved. But when those needs are met, that allows you as a person, as you're in developmentally, to get in touch with that part of your brain, because those emotions have value. Western culture doesn't like emotions, particularly strong emotions, so we tend to stay away from it. And men were socialized not to get in touch with that part of their brain, right? Suck it up, get over it. And the church, gets put out this way. Just trust Jesus. Just pray about it. What we're saying is you don't get comfort. You don't get acceptance, right? When those needs are met, you're able to connect to that part of you. You're able to connect to that part of you, that part of your brain, that part of your humanity. And people, because you grew up in that, their needs getting met and emotions were valued, positive and negative, right? They tend to become aware of what they're feeling. But if you grew up in a broken home, such as myself, where emotions were minimized, they were kind of thrown away. Emotions here were basically, suck it up, get over it, shut up. Why are you crying? Why do you think that? Why are you feeling that way? You begin to disconnect from that part of you. And when you disconnect from that part of you, it's very difficult to emotionally be present for others because you're not emotionally present to yourself. Let's talk about this as it relates to marriage. All right, when couples are dating, right? You got a lot of emotions. You're talking a lot. You call each other a lot. You spend a lot of time with each other. And so, because in those early stages of dating and marriage, in the research world, we say that you're in the romance stage of marriage, right? You still have all those bubbly feelings when you're dating, engaged. You got the wedding, and then you're living together and learning new things about each other, and you have all those wonderful emotions, and you overlook things that person does. That's the romantic phase of marriage. Nothing wrong with it, but the romantic phase of marriage lasts about up to 2 years. And finally, reality starts to set in. Well, you're a little controlling. I didn't realize you had an eating issue. I didn't realize you were so manipulative. No, I thought you were this way, but you're really that way. So the first stage of marriage is that romance stage. But when the romance stage, as it progresses, you're learning things about your partner. You didn't realize they had a 48-foot U-Haul they brought with them because they hid it from you, of baggage from their childhood or earlier relationships. And now you're married to it. And when the romantic phase wears off and you start to see these other parts of them, this leads to the second stage of marriage, which is disillusionment. You're not the person that I thought you were. We're in that romance stage. I was married in 1984 and I had all these ideas what marriage is going to be like, what well is going to be like, and how we're going to be together. And in those early years of marriage, I noticed that she was controlling what I would eat. She actually put yogurt in tuna salad, not mayonnaise, because she didn't want me eating mayonnaise. I don't eat yogurt at all. Frozen yogurt. Other than that, I don't eat yogurt. Another time I came home from school, I was still in the Navy on active duty, went to school at night, came home with really good rice dish there. Had ground beef, looked like it, and ground beef and vegetables on the plate. Took my first bite of the rice meal that she had fixed and spit it out right away. My brain said, oh, no, you're not. This is liver. I thought it was ground beef. I don't eat liver. She goes, I know, just want to make sure. I'm like, just trust me here. And she kept that up. Now I'm starting to see another part of her. I'm becoming disillusioned with her. She's controlling. She's judgmental. She's critical. And now we're in the disillusionment phase. Why? Because you're seeing other parts of them. You're living with it. So you become disillusioned. Some of your hopes start to die off. Some of your dreams of what would be. And here's the thing. During this phase, some of the fears that I had about marriage become real. Notice there's a fear that you won't accept me. There's a fear you won't like me. There's a fear that, got it? Whatever the fears are, in the disillusionment phase, they start to become real for you. That then leads to the third stage of marriage, which is the misery stage. I'm miserable. I don't know if I want to be around you. I don't like you. I don't feel love for you. Oh, I love you, but I don't have it. But I'm not in love with you because you're not handling the conflict well. And you're not connecting to each other emotionally at all. Neither are you emotionally present to each other, and you're not emotionally aware of what's going on inside of you. So you become miserable. And you'll only stay in the miserable part for a while. And usually by this time, somebody's wants out. But here's what we know. If you'll work through it, learn the skills, learn the tools, learn what to do different, right? And you push through that misery stage, you end up in the fourth stage of marriage, which is actually an awakening. It's an awakening to joy. It's an awakening to love. It's an awakening to who we really are. I started taking responsibility for myself. Luella did the same. We started changing those parts of ourselves. And we began to renew the relationship and deepen the level of usness. 37 years of marriage today, I'm 59, she's 60. We have a pretty strong, healthy relationship. We have an us in a much deeper way. And I'm grateful for it. I am so grateful. I can be very, very open and vulnerable to her. And she loves me and accepts me, doesn't judge me. She's a very safe person. In the early days, she wasn't. We both went through those 4 stages, but when we've never learned to emotionally connect or emotionally bond, and that has to happen in childhood, then we find it very difficult to be emotionally available to our partners. And when you're not available to your partner emotionally, you can't create an us. You can't create a loving, mature marriage. And so when we're not emotionally aware of what's taking place in us, that lack of emotional awareness leads to an emotional unavailability. I'm not available to you emotionally.